How much is a euro per year?
No.
Only costs $1.20 to get into the museum.
No, €1 is I know.
Okay, good morning. How's everybody this morning? Doing well? So this week's code of conduct is to work in an environmentally conscientious manner. So this is a good week to think about. We have spill kits on our sites. How does our silt fence look like? Are we working close to any catch basins or a river where we might need to have any some type of containment in line just in case of any spills? So that's something to think about this week, kind of moving forward. Take a look at that stuff. How can we protect the environment with the type of work that we're doing? Biggest thing is that spill kits things. We do have some accidental releases, and we want to make sure that we have all the tools and equipment we need to manage that. And then, of course, call Larry and let him know something's going on so we can respond and get it corrected.
Look for shut-off valves.
Look for shut-off. Yep.
That's a good one. Yes, good point. So safety news, how do we do this past week? Again, another incident-free, recordable-free for our injuries. Doing well out there. We do have a small uptick on some of our other incidents. We had 2 utilities and 2 vehicle damage reports this week. So let's really focus on our day-to-day. Really break it down. Don't get too far ahead of ourselves with our decision making. Keep it simple. I think be very methodical with what we're doing today, and let's focus on today, and that's hopefully we can stay incident free each day. So this week I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. Some of our actions that we've had the last couple accidents have been kind of more in that slips and trips. Just changing of elevations, just walking around the sites. We've had some pretty severe injuries with some like MCLs, roll ankles, things like that, just because of just walking and working our surfaces. Our terrain in construction is very rugged. So I just wanted to kind of highlight this and what are we doing on our job sites. So I kind of broke it down into 3 different areas where there's a lot of slip and trip hazards. Okay, one is our working surfaces. It's hard to see, but you can kind of see this is our working surface. Okay, we have some planking up here and we have our guardrail system. But like down here, we're working on the slide bank, doing a single face wall. This is our working surface. It's very rugged, uneven terrain. So we need to try to do our best to try to eliminate some of that rugged terrain by, good housekeeping measures, making it clean if we can. Unfortunately, we didn't really have a whole lot of space to throw any gravel down there, but just to try to make it as level as possible. The more uneven terrain, the more rocks, the more things you got to chip over, the more potential there is for an injury. So proper setup is something that we could kind of look at, or any rooms of improvement to try to make that job site a little bit safer where we're working and where we're walking. The other one is a walking surface. This is down in New Haven, is just, you can see just, it kind of designated, this is the area where we want to walk to enter the excavation, or you can say it's an excavation in this terminology. So, a nice walking surface. There is some trip hazards with some hoses, and there's a extension cord that you can kind of see here. So there's everything's very minor rooms improvement that we can have where we're walking and where we're working. And it's just taking that thought process of how we can kind of quickly make small alternate changes with our walking surfaces where we're trying to get to perform our work. We're really going to see it soon once that snow and ice starts falling. That's really the big one. But I wanted to highlight it now before we get there. But there's minor little things that we can do on our job sites to prevent small little near misses. And the last one is just exiting equipment. Wherever you're doing, whenever there's a change in elevation, or also with our ladder use, it's just making sure you're always kind of facing your equipment or your ladder that you're exiting and exiting. We don't want to be able to, launch off something and have our knees and our ankles take all the absorption. Everything should be kind of stepped in the controlled guide and dismount. There's arm bars. There are some steps and all of the pieces of equipment. Same thing with our cranes and our loaders and our dozers and things like that. So just take the time to really dismount your equipment safely. I know it's hard once we get in the heat of battle and we're trying to go and get stuff done. But again, sometimes we don't know what we're stepping on. If it's asphalt, if it's a rock, if it's a big change in elevation, and if you're dismounting front first, all your weight and the gravity, everything is it's a lot of impact on our ankles and our knees. I'm sure we've seen some accidents the last 5 years just by dismounting equipment. So just take a look. Just think about that this week. I mean, today when you're dismounting a piece of equipment, just think about it. And I think the more you think about that a little bit, the more likelihood that you had to maybe make a small change in some of the behaviors that you have when you're dismounting pieces of equipment. Is there any questions when it comes to slip trips out there in the construction field? Nope. Okay, I'll pass it over to Ken.
Okay, thanks, Matt. One thing I noticed that I can do fine on a site and then the minute I'm talking to somebody, walking around, all of a sudden it's easier to trip. It's distraction.
Yeah, distraction.
Yeah. It happened this week for me. So let's see. Nothing on corporate announcements. Technical tips. We're talking again about rotary lasers, and actually, right here, this is a link to the instructions on the Spectra L500, which is I think most of our equipment, and it's provided with the device I would expect, and also on that website. What annoyed me is that the PDF is protected in a secure format, so I couldn't even have a direct link. You have to go and click it yourself, and then it says secured on the PDF, so you can't electronically share it. I remember that with a SDS sheet once too. It's like seems like the manufacturers would want you to know about their product and would want you to help promote it. So anyway, this week we're talking about a few different things. One is setup, and the 550, like many other rotary laser levels, will automatically self-level. There's a system in there that finds that point and then rotates. But you've got to get it close to level to start, which I'm sure all you know who've set it up before. And then you make a rough adjustment. I try to get the top level, more or less level, and then make rough adjustments to get it in the center of the bullseye with the leveling bubble by turning the knobs. Operations, just one thing to know that usually there's a warning if you have disrupted, and if it doesn't reseek its level, it'll stay out of service. It'll go offline. And then the other thing, checking calibration. One thing you can do if you start to suspect there's a problem with the laser is you can shoot to a surface. They recommend like 100 feet away, like a wall, and go and take your receiver and get your point, mark it on the wall, and then take the device and rotate around 180 degrees. So if it was, one axis facing east, just turn it to west and redo it. So it should go within 1/8 of an inch of that same point. If it's not, then something is goofed up, because I think everyone's been in a situation where they're like, that's not level, is it? And you start to question your equipment. So that's what I got there. This week we're profiling the Velco Data Center. We're contracted with this company, building company out of Rutland called VMS Construction for the site work at Velco's new, it's a 6,845 square foot data center building and associated enclosure building for 2 backup generators. We began early in the summer, and work has been intermittent lately as the building contractor and other trades perform their work. It's kind of they don't want a lot of people to know about this, but all that information is available on Act 250. This drawing I got just shows the idea is from the Act 250 database, because it is an Act 250 project for them. So they have their existing office facilities, Pinnacle Road's out here, and this is in the back, generated building and the main building. So it's being constructed with precast panels, which is different. Sides and roof, and specialty work is performed by another subcontractor. They're called Omni Threat, and they're out of Florida, and they're hired directly by VMS, and they specialize in secure buildings. So we did a fair amount of rock removal early on, and right now we're past this point, but doing backfill and under slab stone and that sort of thing. So the interesting part, which I didn't really publicize here, is these panels are the precast panels. Especially aspect of it is that they are EMF proof, electromagnetic disruptions, like maybe from the sun or maybe from a terrorist trying to disrupt the power system or whatever. So, and the other thing that they're doing with this is that they have this thing called the Advanced Weather Analytics System, because there's so much solar now in our generating capacity for the state that they have to predict, like, the next couple days are going to be sunny, so they know they can rely heavily on the solar. But if it's cloudy, suddenly the capacity, the output from those solar systems reduce, so they know they have to go out looking and be ready to look for power from other sources, non-solar sources. So that's part of this whole computing complex that they're doing. So from the archives, I have a picture. This is at the Harpoon Brewery. It's a separated grade crossing for the brewery itself. They're in Windsor, and it's just to the east of 91. If you up, there's a fairly high section. You overlook Windsor and the river, the Connecticut River below. They're right down there, and they have this access to property they have on the other side of the railroad. So we built this back in 2002, and we worked for Harpoon Brewery. So that's what I got. Have a good day out there.
Hey, Abel, Michael Bryant, Jeff Barber, and Mike Bishop, David Povine, Adam Piper, James Sheeran, Randy Piper, Albert Cheapland, Frank Coda,
Much of it. I saw
Mark Covey, Kyle Bennett,
She never even came over to our corner.
Art Donald, Richard Truniak,
You want that?
Brendan Early, William Elwin, Greg Farr, Jordan Fisher,
25 for you.
David Forcier, David Francis, hey, Scotty, David Gilbo, no, Pete Goslet, Brian Harrington, Lucas Jerome, Jerry Johnson, Martin Kendrick, Kimbo, Walter Knox, Jerry Frenier, Sean Lampier, Rich Valley, Jesse Whittlefield, Brian Martell, Zach Callan,
Who else Piper? Yeah.
Eric,
Scotty.
Mitchell, Toby, Ken Munson, Nedam,
You got Randy's check?
Exactly.
Good. How you doing, Scott?
Good. How's it going, Greg?
Once they're in there,
They don't have like an access card?
like,
Those are big generators.
they're very big generators. They're huge.
So let's blow one off.
They gotta change it, take it out, piece by piece. We rebuild it.
Yeah, nobody called me and talked to me.
I'll call him back.
I can't believe it actually right now. We should have said 10 outside.
That's what it was supposed to say.
Tim Suture.
Quote unquote housekeeper.
You were out of sync.
That was last week.
Jared Trenier,
No, you probably just forgot to change it.
Sean Lampier, Richard Bruniak.
Because last week,
I was trying to
Do
think.
your ABCs.
I'm gonna look up last week.
Alright, and then,
I've been following it.
Reggie
Yeah.
Valley,
Something I just do
I think
every
he got
week.
out of
that
sync.
one last time.
And,
Okay.
Joe Kraus and Derek Quinn.
Derek.
I don't know why I notice stuff like that.
Yep, no, it's good.
I always notice stuff like that. What was last Friday?
13th?
13th.
13th.
Derek Neely.
So we would have got that other one on the 12th, right?
And, Joey Sumner.
You got yours?
I do have one.
that.
Alright, I think we got them all. Thank you, man.
Don't forget Richard's
Yeah,
fast
see?
today.
He's one behind you.
Yeah. Does he have to call or just show up or?
I think he did a double week.
Yeah, this just forgot to update.
And
Okay.
I'm gonna tell him he's one behind
Just
you.
have him show up. Okay.
I think he did that 2 weeks in a row.
I can take a look. I got all
Yeah.
the emails. Because I could have skipped one, but
I
I
just noticed.
don't think I
No,
Because I save all the safety
No.
meetings by week.
you're always sequential. I just noticed.
Joey, I'll get with you on like Wednesday next week. Just to make sure you're all set. Thanks for doing it.
Oh, we said, well, everything.